view is the government are creating a perfect storm. Collectively, almost all of the charge point operators in the UK have stopped installing charge posts. Please don't look up sex toys on my computer. So yes, it is episode 24 of Voltsmonster Interactive. We are joined here by the incapable Virgil.
Hello.
The newly named Dog. And I've forgotten what your name was, but you were Mary Ann the last time around. But did we give you a nickname before when you last appeared?
No, this is my debut.
Is it your debut?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, it's a debutante. This is newbie number 2.
Rogan Josh.
What the did you just say to me, little mother?
That's a bit racist.
Not at all.
Well, Rogan Josh isn't really a fucking Indian recipe.
No.
It was never a recipe in India.
Yeah.
That's like going, I don't know, it's Greg's.
Yeah, but I'm not Scottish.
Neither's Greg's.
Oh, no.
So, take it back.
But full name Rogan Josh.
Rogan Josh.
Why didn't you call him Chicken Tikka? Or why not call him Scotch Pie? And that's a really oblique way of getting to an Indian.
That's got nothing to do with.
Because in Scotch pies they have mace. You know that stuff you get sprayed in the face by whenever you go near a girl? Yeah. In a Scotch pie. And that came from India. It's a spice that came from India.
I don't know.
We'll call Ayush Mace then.
Mace.
Mace.
Mason.
No, mace.
Just Mace.
Just mace. Stings when you get it in the eyes. I can imagine.
It would be pretty painful if you got an Ayush in your eye.
Yeah, it would be. He's small enough to get in your eye. Because he's smaller than you.
Fuck no.
But anyway, we are in episode 24.
We are.
We've named the newbie, Mace, Dog, Virgil. Anyway, on that note, we've got some stories. And do you know what's happened this week? I do not have an internet story because I've got a world exclusive that is not on any mainstream news channel.
Stop it.
But it is a world exclusive. I will tease it. It's not good news for the UK government. So not just do they have two-tier Kia and Lego head Reeves, the two of the f***wits have made it so unpalatable for people to do business in the UK. It's actually affecting the EV market right now, right here, but I'll give you the exclusive in a bit. Whose is this?
Mine.
This is Mace.
Oh,
Mace's story.
Yeah.
Will it make your eyes sting?
It might make your eyes water.
Watery, yeah. It's a bit sad story.
A sad story.
Yeah.
So should we play that music at this point in time? You remember? Well, you won't remember this. On Radio 1 they used to do this thing where they used to play this like really sad story and it would just play this song. We used to play it for Ralphie, my son. And whenever he would whine, we'd put it on to stop him moaning.
Did it work?
He did eventually, yeah. He's now been replaced by my other son who just rants like his grandma. Anyway, beside the point.
Well, cue the sad music.
He looks like a very sad man. He looks very unhappy.
The story is even more sadder.
Okay, go on, give us the story.
Yeah, so the man...
Do we need tissues?
Not now, maybe later.
I've used them.
Yeah. So the guy, he was blocked from charging his car in front of his house by the council, saying he's a trespasser. So eventually he sells his electric car, and he even said that he going to the public facing charge, he feels not safe there because of his heart condition and social anxiety. So now he's blaming everything on the council.
Okay, so
forced to sell his car.
Okay, where is the council?
I think somewhere in Manchester.
Manchester.
Yeah.
Well, that says everything about Manchester. We've discussed what?
Hathersall.
Yeah, that's basically what it's what they call Greater Manchester, which is basically just the area around the outside near Oldham. Oh, there you go, Oldham Council.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nothing less than I would expect. But that's exactly what's wrong with everything. That they're more concerned about the trip hazard. Albeit probably more people will die from trip hazard than breathing CO2.
But I wonder, there's, you see people out there cleaning windows, and they'll often have a hose attached to how they're cleaning it, or something dragging across the street. Surely they can just put the same safety measures in place that they do.
Well, there is actually a company that makes a device which you basically just cut into the pavement. So it's basically like a slot that goes in the pavement. And
so it's
you
like
just
seamless.
yeah. So you basically just put the cable in the slot. But it's a very similar invention to the device that you used to make, because people's downpipes used to expel onto the pavement. And you often see metal strips on the pavement, and the water just runs through it and then runs and goes in the road. So it's a very similar device. Very easily fixed by the council, but they choose not to. And this poor guy...
Look at him, he's so disappointed in this.
He's got a disappointed look, isn't he?
Yeah.
That's a frown, isn't it?
So, I'm not surprised. Anyone around this table surprised?
No.
I am, but I'm new to this continent. I don't know what's
Well, if you went... I could imagine the same thing happening at Torbay Council, because that's the type of stupid reason. Rather than fix the problem, they go, you can't do it.
And he got a hybrid car after that. He forced to buy a hybrid car.
So he probably lost money on the purchase of his Charger,
Yeah, maybe.
his buying the car, etc. It's wrong.
That's a pose, though, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, it's not the most generous photo of him. Let's
No.
take that into consideration, but
No, but they did colour grade it nicely.
well, it might have even been taken on an iPhone.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an iPhone picture, I guess.
So anyway,
Up next.
are we surprised in that story?
Not at all.
No.
What are you doing now?
What are you doing there?
Karen speaking.
Oh, right.
Please don't look up sex toys on my computer.
Yeah.
Can't help it, James.
It does look a bit like Penelope's car.
It does.
Look like that one.
Do we like it?
Oh no.
After the advert that we had, that's the ridiculous Thunderbird one that they did for the film that was shit.
No, not that one.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's going to work. I don't know if it's going to work for Jaguar releasing one car.
They
one
claim to be
vehicle.
it's a GT for four-door GT, but you can say two-door. So it's definitely going to be changes in the shape. And
It is interesting, some of the things, in terms of that strange grille at the back. What has happened, they've used the same background that they had with the people with the paint rollers
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
in the Holy Day thing.
Yeah.
We were talking about this with the other newbie last week, is that, the Indian festival where you throw paint at each other.
Yeah, holy. Holy.
Looks very similar to the advert. And then, of course, the car comes along.
Well, they're calling that Miami Pink, and they're calling this one London Blue.
Which is really cheesy.
Yeah.
Their whole thing is copy nothing, and then they've called it London Blue. You might as well have called it Fish and Chips.
Well, this is it as well. It's the advertisement was very inclusive, very woke.
Yeah.
But then they give us one car which is priced at 150 grand.
And you know why it won't work, and everyone will hate it,
Why?
right? Because it doesn't have a Tesla-sized screen in it.
True.
I'm curious about how
I mean,
where's the photometer?
They have a screen in it. I think both the things gonna flip up, because I've seen a picture doing that. I've seen two screens, on the passenger side and the driver's side.
And one thing you learn about concept cars over the years is that I tell this story often, is that, because I repeat myself a lot, right, is Ford years ago brought out a concept car for the Ford Fusion, which is this chunky little 4x4 crossover pickup truck come Fiesta sized thing, right? With a motocross bike in the back of it, a surfboard, all that kind of stuff, right? And the car that came out is the Ford Fusion. So find me a picture of the Ford Fusion. Hello?
Sorry. Yeah, carry on.
Find me a picture of a Ford Fusion.
Shit, alright.
And make it snappy.
Fuck's sake.
Sorry. Okay.
So the car that came out,
No.
right, is not that blue, light blue one on the left-hand side. So it basically went from being a funky 4x4 pickup truck to basically a fat Fiesta with extra ground clearance, which ruined everything that was good about the Fiesta. Right? And that's the problem with concept cars. So when you go back to the Jaguar, to the interior shot of the Jaguar in particular, that one there, someone has thought it's a really good idea to put a wall through the middle of the car.
Yeah.
And they're probably harping to like business class and first class seats on a plane where you don't get to sit next to your friends or speak to them.
Having
Right?
said that, right here there isn't a wall.
Yeah,
Well, there is. You can see it.
Perspective, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Well, that is the wall.
that is
Well,
the
that's in the middle of your arse then.
No, that's the seat, you plonker.
Well, there's a seat there and there's a seat there.
No,
I mean,
that's one seat.
Actually, to be fair, that render doesn't make sense.
I mean, the render doesn't make any
The,
sense.
obviously, the render doesn't make sense because
Yeah.
your butt cheeks would have to be 4 inches apart, so they sat in each hole. But there is a wall through the middle of it, you know, which reminds me of another thing that happened to a friend of mine. So he had a girlfriend that was quite into giving something,
Yeah.
right? And he was driving around the M25 one day while she felt the need to lean across. And a police car pulled up next to him on the M25.
That's not what you want.
And they sat there, and he doesn't know to this day how long they were watching him be pleasured. Obviously, the wall prevents that sort of behaviour, so
Yeah.
it's not good for that sort of thing. But why anyone would want a wall through the middle of their car is beyond me. And I'm not here to just slag it off. Actually, I quite like the shape of it, and their marketing is complete ridiculousness.
Yeah. It could have worked on its own little,
It would have
little adventure.
It
A
could have
little
worked.
adventure
It could have worked on its own merits.
Yeah.
The marketing
But
looks like a marketing of a cosmetic brand. Like it doesn't look
We've been
like
waiting
something.
for something else from
Yeah.
Jaguar though, like something, you know.
Anyway,
we've been waiting
look.
for this, and it's this.
To be honest, I don't dislike the car. Some of the features on it are a bit stupid, and obviously it sent Virgil to sleep. So, what can we say? Anyway, next story.
This is my one. There's an EV conversion kit for the MX-5 now.
Why?
Oh, why
That's the question.
Why are you ruining the car?
So, if you're going to convert a vehicle
Yep.
to EV, right? One of the key reasons for converting it to EV is to reduce your impact on the environment, yeah? How can converting an old car that didn't produce an awful lot of CO2 and other stuff, taking the entire driveline out of it, throwing it away and replacing it with an EV drivetrain, how does that meet the thing? Because all the embodied carbon that was in that car to get it to that point, you're just redoing. So what's the benefit of it?
I think it's more to entice even more old-fashioned, like petrol heads to.
But it's not a car that most petrol heads would buy. It's
No.
it's a specific, like I've said before, it's a specific subset of people that are into cars
they have
who like A, Japanese cars, B,
different fan base.
it's a particular fan base. And you're talking about how much does this conversion cost? Good to see you did your research. Did you read the article before you posted it, before we discussed
I
it?
just reminded myself.
Did you bollocks?
It's a big fucking article.
150 mile of range.
Yeah.
So you take a car that had 350 miles of range, make it 150 miles of range. You've got to love driving it, haven't you?
Yeah, you do. You've got to love taking pictures of it as well.
Yeah.
You know that they're going to.
So the answer to that is you don't know.
The answer to that is bear with me 1 second to discuss.
So in simple terms, would you do that?
No.
Would you do that?
No, I wouldn't do it.
The MX-5 is just a great little car.
Yeah.
As a petrol head, you would agree.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never driven one.
Haven't you?
No.
Oh yeah, but you're only 12, aren't you?
I'm 11.
11 and a half. It is a good little car, and
they drift as well, don't
they do. You can get them quite nicely sideways.
Yeah, like you said, they had a really different fan base who like Japanese cars.
Have you guessed how much it costs?
£45,000.
20 grand.
30.
£14,995.
So 5 times the value of the car, potentially, if the car's worth £3,000 now. You've got to be absolutely insane.
You do.
So overall, do we like it?
It's a good idea, just wrong car, I think.
I'm not a fan of converting the car into EV, so I don't know.
I don't think it's needed.
You know,
think
like
it's needed yet. And
if I was going to convert a classic car into an EV, weirdly, it would be a Jaguar. So I'm going to give you something that I would convert into EV.
Go on.
But what I would do, you might need to visualise this a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So this is the car, right? Oh. That one. Oh. Right? So that is a Jaguar XJ pillarless coupe, right? So that's where I'd start, right? And then I'd convert it into that. That was a broad speed Jag, right?
it's a sexy car.
Yeah.
Right? And it featured in the new Avengers, and a guy called Steed drove it, right? Very cool car, right? So what I'd then do is I'd dechrome it, lower it, put it on the right wheels, probably not those, right? Then I would convert that into an EV,
This car's got
right?
sexy. Yeah.
Right? So you basically would have something Rimac performance, but so uber cool that people would go, "What the have you done?" That would be worth spending 50 grand on to do. And you're not telling me that Jaguar didn't get ideas for the car they've just launched from that grille on the broad speed.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's a good point, yeah.
But anyway, what a car.
I'm excited to hear the bombshell you're about to drop.
Are we moving swiftly on to the next story?
Are we going straight on to the next story?
I can't take
Why
it.
not?
So, over the last 2 weeks, I've spent quite a lot of time in meetings. And as you know, I have other EV interests.
Yeah.
So, there are some bits of news. So, collectively, almost all of the charge point operators in the UK have stopped installing charge posts. And they've put it down to falling sales of EVs and lack of government support. So the consequences of this are significant for any operator of charge points, because it basically means if you've had signed up with a contract with a charge point operator to install, say, 10 chargers on your land, they may actually only install 2, which means that you don't get the service that you think you were going to. And there's get-out clauses in almost all of their contracts to avoid it. So that was the first breakout bit of news. But the consequence for that, from the government's point of view, is the government are creating a perfect storm. Right? So we saw the story from last week, which you went to because you were incompetent, right? About Ford asking for incentives. The actual problem is very simple. If you fix the infrastructure, people will buy the cars.
I completely
It's
agree.
always been my view, right? The next bit is, I heard another nugget of information. So, as you know, ZPN Energy are the only company that make a retractable EV charging cable on a charger.
It's on their hubs.
Yeah. One charge point operator has spent so far this year over £100,000 on one site replacing cables that get cut off their chargers. So what is actually happening in another charge point operator, which name I won't mention, is they are now, because of the cost of it, not replacing the cables. Because every time someone steals a charger cable, costs £1,000 for the cable, the man to fit it, and all the lost revenue. And some sites are now viewed as unviable because of the number of charge cables that are being stolen. So you know when the government like imprisons people for saying hurty words, yeah, right, and commenting on an event that's actually happening, right, and they get put in prison for 2 years. Maybe Keir Starmer should take a fucking tip, right, and create a specific charge for damaging national infrastructure.
It's a good idea, that.
Yeah? Because politicians have shied away from this sort of stuff in the past.
Yeah.
You know, when they vandalised Winston Churchill's monument, right? Damaged the cenotaph, damaged thing. They just get done for a bit of whatever, right? But when it's actually damaging national infrastructure that we all end up paying for, how can that be worse or less bad than someone who goes, Keir Starmer, you're a right?
That's pretty mental that it's literally more viable for them to just neglect the site than to fix it.
Absolutely.
Like that's
right, and it's getting to that point. So you know, like I'm out there at the moment looking to buy a car, and there are some really dull EVs out there. But some of them are incredibly expensive for no apparent reason.
We were discussing last week about the Ford Explorer.
We did. We discussed about the Ford Explorer, and since then I've actually been to two dealerships, which is the contrast, is BYD and Kia. So a medium-sized Kia, dull medium-sized Kia, like granny wagon Kia, right? How much is it?
36,000. That's a high.
19, 20.
42.
And how much is the luxury car tax? Where does it
I
start?
don't know.
The new Kia, I'm talking about two-tier Kia here, and Lego Head's new luxury car tax. What level does that start at?
50,000. I don't know. I'm guessing.
I'm just well, you're our pet communist, so
I'm not.
He is.
what does it start at?
52.
52?
I don't know.
Come on, Mace, get a bit hotter.
50.
Okay, 40.
Okay.
Fucking hell.
So the luxury car tax, which allegedly is for people who buy luxury cars, right? Would we agree that the Kia EV3 is not a luxury car?
Yeah, that's not a luxury car.
Right?
Doesn't even sound
Okay,
like
so the one that was in the dealership was 48.5 grand.
Fucking hell.
And the Ford Explorer, which we'd equally class as not a luxury car, is £53,000.
Fucking hell.
Would we class the Ford Mach-E
No.
as a luxury car?
What they've managed to do is class.
They're 53,000 as well. Is a Ford Capri a luxury car?
No.
It's more than £40,000. So, how much is a Cupra Born?
I don't know.
£43,000.
Yeah, so there's a pattern in the Ford.
So
What they managed to do is class luxury or new cars as luxury. And you wouldn't class anything else new.
well, what
as
they've
luxury.
classed, what they've basically done, and
Because any new car will be over that threshold,
yeah.
or more or
Yeah.
less. It's hard to get a car under a new car under 40 grand.
yeah. So same old shit Labour. We don't call them New Labour, although they look the definition of New Labour, which is a pretty flower with a bunch of pricks underneath, right? Which was their logo under New Labour. Let's call them same old Labour, done exactly the thing. What they've managed to do when they said they weren't going to tax working people, who the are they expecting to buy the average car? Because if I was rich enough, right? Think of it like this: if I'm rich and I'm buying a luxury car, I'm not going to buy a Kia, am I?
No.
Or a Ford Explorer,
No.
or any of the other cars we've mentioned,
Mm.
right? But the comparison is, if you go to BYD from that nice communist country that is China, how much is one of those? Which is roughly the same size as a Kia Born, a Cupra Born, not a Kia Born.
28.
28,
35, 40.
35,
Yeah, 35, 40.
21.
Fucking hell.
And you get to sing karaoke when you stop at traffic lights. Now look, it might be totally but it's 21 grand. And I would class that as not luxury, right?
Just as not luxury as all of the others.
Exactly, but the BYD Seal, which is the slightly bigger four-door thing, saloon-y type car, you can pay 40 grand for one of them. It's still not a luxury car.
Is that a pressure on car sellers to bring their prices down? Or is
I don't know what it is, but they did do that previously with the grant on EV charging, the EV charging grant, which they moved the threshold down. So it was at like 40 grand or something, and they moved it down to 35, and most Kias were 37, so Kia just reduced the price of all their cars by 2 grand. But when you look at it in the mix of everything that's going on, so you've got cars not selling because they're boring as shit, right? And I walked out of a Ford dealer going, I'm not going to pay £900 a month for the world's most boring car. I'm not saying it's any more boring than any other, but if I'm going to spend £900 a month on an average car, you'd want it to be. You'd want to feel excited about it, wouldn't you?
Yeah. You want to go, I've spent 900
You want to go. You want to look at it and go, "Hey, that's cool."
That's totally worth it.
Broad-speed Jag, right? You look at that and go, "That's cool," right? You walk out a Ford Explorer. I'm not particularly picking on the Ford Explorer because actually it's not a bad car, but all of that subset of cars are in the luxury car tax brand, which is affecting it, but you've also got CPO operators going, you're expecting us to install infrastructure, but you're not encouraging the market to flourish. And then, of course, in the last week since the budget, obviously Lego Head has managed to encourage Vauxhall to close an entire plant and get rid of 1,100 jobs. You know, there is a structural issue in the EV market, in my view. But those two bits of nuggets of information, those breaking news that no one else, and they're exclusive to us, it does not bode well.
It does not.
You know, it's causing serious issues in the market. So when Ford are asking for subsidies, I'm not sure they're actually necessarily asking for a subsidy for operating, but they need the market conditions to sell EVs.
No, it is a bombshell.
That is.
So, Voltsmonster exclusive bombshell.
And on that bombshell.
And on that bombshell, it's time to close.
Yeah.
So, it's bye from Mace. It's bye from Virgil. God, he's so happy. And dog, give us a bark.
That was way too good, wasn't it? That was
Good boy.
Good boy. Should we get you a collar? Actually, Shelby has a collar. So my dog has a collar, and it has written on it like, oh well. So, long story, right? But we've got this sort of family friend. Long story, but they bought the dog collars, right? So Hope, our slightly crazy Kelpie, who's no longer with us, he bought one that said nervous, right? And Shelby's got one that says friendly. What would yours say?
Communist.
Communist. Maybe we should get them. Why don't we get them printed with communist and then send them to Keir Starmer?
It's not a bad idea.
I thought you were suggesting. I thought
Get
you were
one written with-
suggesting
get
making
one-
me a dog collar with communist and making me wear it around the office. That would be a good.
Whatever turns you on.
That's exactly what we suggested.
Time to go. But if you like it, subscribe, press the bell, And if you hate it, comment below and we will ignore you. But other than that, or you may even receive a dog collar with annoying written on it. But if you've got any great ideas, you like what we say, comment, press the bell.
Do the thing.
Do your
Do
thing.
your thing.
Bada bing.
Adios.
Tassie bye.
See ya.
Say bye, James.
Bye.